It's another episode of Bottle Kill TV, and as always, we have the often imitated, never. We still doing our bollocks. We got the Laphroaig Cask Strength Law today.
Yeah,
Let's go straight in.
straight in. Been excited for this one. So, Facially is the Isla Festival. They run it every year, and all of the distilleries release a limited edition bottle. In recent times, like I've probably bought like 4 or 5 of these. You've also got like peripheral, like independent bottlers, like Big Pete always does a good one. Mac Taller's another one to look out for. This year, like I really stripped back, and there was a couple that I was like, I'm definitely buying this. Ardbeg, I was like, I'm out. Like I'm taking a break from Ardbeg. We've discussed that. Let's not dwell. Bruichladdich, like I would have loved to get the Octomore. I think it was the most aged Octomore that they've released, but it was pretty expensive. It was like £300. This one, it came in, I think it was 70. So really great value. And it's a Cask Strength upgrade of one of my favourite core releases from Laphroaig, which is the Law. So yeah, really excited to dive in and try this one.
So we previously today have recorded a couple of episodes before this, and we were Springbank 12-year-old Cask Strength. So it's a really tall order to follow a Springbank 12 Cask Strength, right?
True.
And if anything can do it, though, for me, I think it is Laphroaig. So most whiskies would be underwhelming.
Yeah.
If you go after Springbank. I actually am interested. I actually think that Laphroaig may be able to hold its own, but I'm excited to try this one because I did like the Law, the original Law. I really I like the packaging of the original Law. I'm a little disappointed they haven't gone for the different colour label.
Yeah. The green and dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different, wasn't it? A little bit different. It's a little
But they've changed. I think they've even changed the core range now.
Yeah, they have.
That was the old style because I had the old style bottle, and the new one it's called like Cask Law, and it's slightly changed. So
I'm the same with Glenlivet as well. I like the older Glenlivet packaging than the new stuff. So I think it's always the way kind of when you picked it up is when you enjoy it.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
So the Law Cask Strength. So the Law is actually a really interesting one because when it came, it really people didn't quite know what it was.
Yeah.
And then when people started drinking it, they were like, bloody hell, this is good.
Yeah.
This has got some, and apparently the rumor is that they put some like ridiculous casks in there.
So it's not a rumor; it's true. So, and this is one of the interesting things. So, we've talked a little bit on previous episodes that there's like a debate. People are constantly discussing whether no age statements can stand up against aged whiskies. Now, Law contains 4 different casks. Same this one, the Cask Strength as well, 4 different cask types. The age ranges are from 7 years old right up to 21 years old. So if Laphroaig were to bottle this as an age statement, they would have to call it a 7-year-old whiskey. Whereas it's not, because it's got 21-year-old juice in it, which, you know, it kind of like, it massively changes the makeup and raises the bar. So I think Law, like, whether it's the core release or this one that we're about to try, I think it's an excellent whiskey. I think it really showcases the character of Laphroaig in like some of its best form. Like I'm a big fan. That's why I was so excited about this bottle.
Yeah, me too. So I'm really excited. So you've already tried this and had a bit of this. So you have a bit of experience. I'm kind of as usual on these. I'm on the fly.
I'm trying, yeah,
a little bit more, but I know that any Laphroaig you give me, I'm probably gonna like Barley Oak Select.
Yeah, well,
the law says.
So this one, the casks in this are bourbon, classic. Always got to get your bourbon in there.
That's what you just associate with Laphroaig, isn't it?
Yeah. European oak, Oloroso sherry, and quart casks. So 4 different cask types, ranging in age from 7 years to 21 years.
Are Laphroaig the only people that use quarter casks?
No,
because they can't be, but they're the only ones I can think of at the top of my head that use that style of cask.
I think they've kind of, because the quarter cask is part of the core range, they've kind of like, you know, laid a marker down for like we're the quarter cask people. Like obviously maturing the whiskey in the cask, which is smaller in size, it gives it more contact with the wood and increases the richness of the influence and the richness of the flavour. And they use them a lot. And then I know that, like, you know, say, for example, some independent bottlers that have done like quarter cask finishes, I would imagine they've finished them in casks that previously held Laphroaig. So yeah, I think, but no, they don't have the monopoly on it, but they're definitely, they've got it's part of the brand, I would say.
So I'm just as I'm thinking through this as we go into the nose, I on previous episodes I've really said how I like that farmy note. I like the sort of the dampy, the dunnage. Transports you to a warehouse. This transports you to the sea, to the coast. It's very coastal, very saline, very salty on the nose, and I love it. This is probably my favorite nose on whiskey is when it transports you to the coast.
Do you know what? Yeah, it is. It's definitely got that brininess to it. So, as Michael was saying, we're just off the back. We've been drinking Cask Strength whiskey already. So the palate's nice and warm for this one. Off the top of my head, so the strongest Springbank that we just tried was 57.2%. This is 59.6. So it's a little bit of a jump up. And also, just for the benefit of the people that are watching, the standard law is 48%. So it's not a weak whiskey. Do you know what I mean? Like it's higher than, I would categorize normal strength as 46% for me.
Yeah.
If it's 40,
it's like integrity strength.
Yeah. 40, that's kind of like, I'm saying that's a little bit weak for me. 46 is kind of like that's your marker. And then anything above that.
I won't kick it out. That phrase, I won't kick it out of bed.
What, you drink whiskey in bed now?
A 43.
We've degenerated.
A 43%, like I think the standard Glenmorangie is 43%, which it's lovely.
I know, but I'm honestly, if I see a whiskey that's 43%, I still sort of, am I going to buy it or not?
And when they notch
if it's 46, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. But if it's 43, I'll give it like that bit of thought, like, ugh, do I really want to buy this?
And the Glenfarclas 10 that we had, the Marks and Spencer, when they just nudged that up from 40 to 42, I think, or 42 and a half, it made the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, it made the difference. But this is
strong.
What's really interesting on the nose is I'm not actually getting much alcohol, the ethanol off it. I'm getting all like the what you'd expect off the Laphroaig peat.
Yeah.
But I'm not actually getting the strength of the alcohol come through. It's actually which is good balance, because that's what you want, right? You don't want the rawness of the ethanol coming through. You want Laphroaig.
Yeah. And it's so distinctive, isn't it?
Like you can go looking for it. But you can go looking for the ethanol and it's right at the bottom. But in terms of what comes through naturally when you nose it, it's going to be the Laphroaig you know and love.
Yeah, the colour of it. It's very dark, isn't it? And so I don't know if anyone's watched any recent episodes, but I was editing one that we did recently, and I think it was Teelin's. Michael was just blown away by like how syrupy and rich it was, and he kept saying like it's so rich, but we kind of been trying to avoid it, but this is like a very rich whiskey. Like it's almost unavoidable.
So as you have that first taste, it is very, very much to Laphroaig, but with an extra sort of like rocket strapped onto it.
It's like turbocharged Laphroaig, isn't it?
Which we I think we did do an episode where we actually did have the 10-year-old Cask Strength, right?
Yes.
So I'd be interested to know how this compares, but it's got a bit more of a. This has got a bit more of a vibrancy to it.
Yeah.
So the finish is a bit more. It's kind of a bit more of a journey than just like the Laphroaig. The Laphroaig 10-year-old. It kind of hits you where you're at.
Yeah.
The 18-year-old is just such a lovely, smooth, clean version of Laphroaig. This is a bit more vibrant. It's got a bit more going on.
What really impresses me with this is, again, because it's fresh in the mind, it's quite easy to just sort of jump back to comparing it with the Springbank 12-year-old Cask Strength that we just tried. But bearing in mind, this is the strongest whiskey that we've had today, 59.6%. You know the way that Springbank was like really spicy? You'd expect this, like, because it's that little bit stronger, you'd expect it to be a bit more sort of like take your breath away, but it's got a real like such balance, like smoothness to it. I think the presence of the Oloroso sherry works incredibly well. There's a lot of dark fruits, certainly on the palate, but the unmistakable character of Laphroaig is, like you say, it's almost just like on steroids here. That medicinal, antiseptic, just classic like Laphroaig flavour.
And it's got that lovely like thickness as well. So one thing, and this is like kind of just an invariably comparison, just because we recorded them back to back as opposed to maybe what people would expect us to compare it to. But one of the things that we remarked about the Springbank is that they had this thickness to it.
Yeah,
it had this real viscosity. You could see in the spider legs and the glasses. Just because these are like your really good glasses, like you can't like really see through them as much.
Yeah.
To see, but it's not feeling thin. It's actually got this like structure to it as well, which is good, because if you came after such a thick whiskey, you think, well, anything's gonna feel thin after that, but it doesn't. It actually feels incredibly thick and syrupy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very sherry driven, isn't it? It's got the European oak, the Oloroso, the quarter casks. I think one thing that we liked about the Laphroaig 18, which they brought back recently, was just that sort of like opportunity to see Laphroaig just purely in its most natural form, whereas this, it's got all of that richness of like the sherry casks, but all of the character of like a classic Laphroaig. So it's a very, very different experience of Laphroaig.
Which is good, and I think that's what people really enjoyed about the Laphroaig lore, was the fact that you got a bit of a roller coaster of Laphroaig. You didn't just get a very, very simple Laphroaig, which is, when you do simple well, you never regret it.
No.
Like the Bruichladdich 18 is a great example of that. The Laphroaig 18 is a great example of that. You know, it's when the spirit is just simply simple and working well.
Yeah.
This is a bit more of a journey. This is a bit more doing different things. I'm actually not giving too many notes right now, just because it's kind of changing as I'm drinking it.
Yeah.
It's kind of I can't really put my finger on what it is. You've got all of the standard Laphroaig characteristics that you've explained. You know, the medicinal, the TCP,
coastal,
the antiseptic. You do feel the strength of the alcohol as well. It's not got the as spicy as ethanol can be, so it is pretty well balanced. But then you've also got this thing coming in now, which is like which is the sherry, the Oloroso sherry influence, which I'm just trying to put my finger on how I would describe it.
Do you know what? I don't know if you'll know these, like maybe some of the older audience that views it, but when I was a kid, the paper shop down the road, like the news agents, they always used to, you remember those jars? Not pick a mix, but you know, like you used to go in and they'd like weigh the sweets in those like old school scales.
Yeah, roses,
and you
roses
get, like,
and greasy.
You get like a quarter of bonbons, or you'd get like a quarter of lemon sherbet.
Midget gems.
Yeah, well, they used to do these sweets that were kind of like I think they were a little bit like cough sweets. They were called Cops, and they were these like black. I think they were like little cubes. They were sweets, but they kind of tasted like cough medicine. And that just takes me back to like being a kid and like trying one of those, because it's got that medicinal kind of licoricey, aniseedy kind of quality to it.
Uncle Joe's Fimple.
Yeah,
they're very medicinal, aren't they?
Yeah, little sort of that kind of vibe. Yeah,
but it's really the water. I just put some water in it, and it's really. It actually takes out any spice that was there. So now we've just got like we've got a different whiskey.
It's kind of strange because
that's so drinkable. Sometimes it's scary how drinkable Cask Strength whiskey is.
Literally just going to say the same thing. Like 59.6%, and it doesn't actually need water, and it is so drinkable. It's like, it's scary to think that like you're talking like nearly 60% ABV. I could pour another right now.
I think it's better with water, but it just makes it a lot more rounded, a lot more smooth. But it's you would not know its strength. Like if someone told me that was 48, it's so well balanced that it's not overpowering with that.
Yeah.
But so what would be really interesting to know is, and you don't have a law right now, do you?
I finished it.
So we finished the law. So it would have been interesting to see the balance and to see if there's a difference to a step up.
I can tell you, because it was only recently that I finished it, and I can tell you there is a significant difference between this and the standard law. Like, the standard law is great.
Well, people say it's actually it's a bit like an Ardbeg Ugadal in terms of like they used to throw their heart and soul and some like real bad boy casks in there. But those bad boy casks, once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And so there isn't enough bad boy casks to put in there. So they've stopped putting so many great casks in the normal law.
Well, they don't.
And so they say that it's kind of like that the kind of normal law has peaked. So maybe they've put a couple of extra special casks in this one that just give it that to give it. Can you feel the age of it? Because I think that's where like the roundness comes from, because it feels like, how can something that's 59.6% be so like rounded, and that for me can only come from the well-aged casks. It's given me I'm looking at it. I'm going more towards Laphroaig 18 than I am Laphroaig 10 when I'm drinking this. In terms of its roundedness, its balance. And its easiness to drink, and then that's a as we said, it's a dangerous proposition sometimes when when the Laphroaig becomes so easy to drink, but it really is phenomenal,
especially when it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 Cask Strength drams.
But it's wow, yeah. It's just it's so interesting, and so one of these things that people are a little, and we said before that apparently the whiskey industry as a whole is a little on the down at the moment, and it's almost like people have got innovation fatigue. People have done so much marketing, but they've marketed so much the last few years.
Yeah.
All these different little stories, all these different. We did this to a cask. We put a cask in the ground for a month and then tore it up and then pour some red wine over it. And Ralphie did a poo on it and then we served it. It's you got all these different stories that people are a little fatigued. So it's like when you get a new release that's something that's brand new that hasn't been done before, it's really great to have something that is really great.
So it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because we do a Isla Power rankings. Like, for anyone that's watched the channel, the majority of whiskey that we drink a lot of Isla whiskey. We like peated stuff. We try to mix it up, offer different perspectives, different whiskies like Irish, Indian, Japanese, etc. But it's fair to say we drink a lot of Isla whiskey, don't we? And we do an Isla Power rankings. So each year we rank in order the Isla distilleries. And last year, Bruichladdich was number 1 and Laphroaig was a close number 2. And I was like, with what they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised if Laphroaig could sort of edge Bruichladdich out this year. We haven't done it yet. We'll probably do it soon. So come back for that one. But it's interesting what you say, because I just bought Laphroaig Elements 3.0, and I was reading the background to it. We're going to do a review of that soon as well. And I was thinking, it's that kind of like Ardbeg marketing style where it was like a kiln fire, burnt the peat for like longer than usual, and like the temperatures were higher. And I was like, no, don't do that, Laphroaig. I was like, don't go like, Ardbeg with these like gimmicky stories, because the Laphroaig 18, like, just incredible. Like, the 10-year-old classic, it's a great upgrade on the law, which is, again, in and of itself an excellent whiskey. And then I do think, like, I agree with what you're saying is, I get that brands need to innovate, but when you let marketing have too much steer on the stories and, like, the, what's going on, people kind of, like, tune out, and it's like, just give me good quality whiskey.
We're just fatigued.
Just let me have, let me have a classic,
you know what's interesting? I just looked at the bottle and it says peaty zesty pepper.
Yeah.
I don't get the pepper so much.
I don't think it's a massively spicy dram.
Because we had the Springman before, which was
Way more spicy.
The 2025 Springman Cask Strength is pepper. You may as well just get a pepper shake and like shake it into your mouth when your first sip of that drink. This one is not spicy at all. I wouldn't say so. That usually I'd associate that with pepper, but I'm not getting that much of the pepper.
Not loads, but it is that kind of like positioning, isn't it? In that we've just had a very spicy dram, so maybe if you drank this in isolation, you'd get it. But
I'm getting the more of the. It's like if you have you ever had when they pour brandy over Christmas cake? That's kind of what I'm getting. The vibe I'm getting from it.
Nice.
It's like pouring brandy over Christmas cake.
Yeah.
So you got the strength of the brandy, but you've also got that Christmas cake, which has to be the that has to be the sherry cask.
Sherry.
It's really taking over. Yeah.
Lots of dried fruits, brown sugars, kind of chocolatey, malty.
Does it tell you what age the sherry cask is in there?
No, that's the thing. So all I know is the types of casks, and that they range from like 7 to 21 years. So, but part of the fun, right? They can't tell you everything.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I'm one of those people where like I would like to know it all. I need to know. I'm the boss. Need the info. I would like to know it all. But what happens then is you're kind of led by what you know, and it becomes a bit of a placebo, right? So the fact you don't know is actually better for you in terms of you get to challenge yourself and figure out these things for yourself. Whereas you tell me like, oh, I'm getting cola cubes, suddenly I'm getting cola cubes.
Yeah. Power of suggestion.
Yeah, I'm so susceptible to power suggestion. So it's so yeah, it is right that they don't tell you, so you can make your own mind up. But it would just be the curiosity of me. It would be interesting to know. You know what is the older casks, and what is making this so good? What is making it so enjoyable?
Maybe we can find out more, because we haven't actually done a proper visit. Well, we've been to Laphroaig, but we haven't done like a tasting there or anything, have we? So next time we go to Islay, it's definitely top of my list.
Yeah, it's really interesting that we've never been, but it's Laphroaig has earned its place in my heart the way a distillery should, which is, I just tried it and just kept being like, oh, I really like this.
Yeah.
I really like this. I really like this. I really like this.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go out my way. So when we first got into the Islay whiskey, we got treated fantastically at Ardbeg Distillery, and that kind of like had my heart for a bit, and I was specifically going out my way to find Ardbeg and drink Ardbeg and recommend
Yeah,
Ardbeg.
I mean, we used to buy like every committee release on the day, didn't we? Like all the exclusives.
Yeah, and so whereas Laphroaig, I didn't have that same sort of where I seeked it out, but it kind of found me.
Yeah.
And every time I've just been over the last year, I've been like, damn, this is really hitting where it should hit. This is really what I like to drink. And so next time we do go to Ireland, Laphroaig, I'm looking forward to going and seeing a bit more and learning a bit more about it. I don't really know. It is a bit of a mystery, and maybe that's why. Maybe that's some of the mystique that I like it. It has that mystique.
Definitely. I think it teases up nicely to get back into the Isle of Power rankings for this year. So
they say sometimes as well about Laphroaig that and this is people that really, because there's you have a pretty good knowledge of whiskey. I'm kind of like still just above, sort of like, what is it like? You know, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. You know, where I'm like over the thing of like, I think I know like a lot about whiskey. I'm like, I know nothing about whiskey. But the people that really do know, there's a way that the warehousing is in Laphroaig, apparently, which is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is creating this interestingness that they have, that they get from their distiller. So it's just the little things like that you learn that
they did
we would learn if we went
a while back, and it was from, I think Warehouse 4 is the one where they've got that, because like Boonhaven's got like Warehouse 9 that we went to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like, so this is, I'll try and say it. I'm told it's pronounced like Cairdeas. So it means friends of Laphroaig. If I pronounced it wrong,
Someone put it on the comments.
Yeah, but it's pretty much like Cairdeas, and it means friends of Laphroaig. And they did one. It was again, it was a bourbon cask maturation a few years back. It was matured in Maker's Mark barrels in that warehouse 4. I'm pretty sure it was. And they do say that like there's something special about like the way that the air circulates. It gets a lot more of the sea air. So there's loads going on. Like I think it's definitely one that we need to go and investigate and get back to.
Investigate. I like the sound of that.
Get the magnifying Inspector.
Who are you gonna call?
Get Inspector Gadget.
Bottle Kill TV.
Let's go.
So great. Well, I'm absolutely blown away. This is actually your bottle. I'm actually very, very tempted to go and buy a bottle of this myself now because I think it's an absolute buy. I think it's a special release, and I think it's widely available.
You can still get this.
They have these Cairdeas releases for the friends of Laphroaig, so it's like their community. So you just sign up to their mailing list and you join the friends of Laphroaig, and so there is a slight sort of like hoop you have to jump through. But once you've signed up, which is you only need an email address to do that, then you should be able to get it pretty easy. And for £70, I thought
I mean, it might be a little bit more than that.
I think it's £93.
It might be more because we were it was maybe more closer to the 90.
But it's it's 90. It's a.
But for again, something that's Cask Strength that's got 21-year-old whiskey and it's pretty good value.
It had the obstacle that they had to come over is that laws were liked. And it sounded like a really, really interesting proposition. And sometimes, so people have already got an inbuilt expectation. And that's what made it interesting in the first place. And it's delivered. It's delivered on that. And I love it. I think it's a great bottle. I'd like to have one myself. So for me, it's an absolute buy.
Yeah. It's a really good Cairdeas release. I'd say, go and get yourself a bottle. There's not much more I can add to what Michael said.
All right, cool. Well, well, thank you for being with us on this. I
feel like we've maybe rambled a little bit more on this one, but that's to be expected when you've been drinking Cask Strength and recording a few episodes back to back. And also, like this is an impressive whiskey, so it deserves the attention. So hopefully, it doesn't go unmissed.
But in a weird way, it doesn't feel like Cask Strength. Maybe we'll watch.
No, that's it.
Maybe we'll watch the recordings back and like, what the hell were we talking about? But it doesn't feel like Cask Strength. It's not knocked your socks off. It just feels like like you said, like a the R word again, a richer Laphroaig.
Definitely. Well, on that note, I'll take us out. So thank you for joining us once again. I've had a really good time. I hope you've had a good time. Michael, have you had a good time?
It's been a bye.
And we'll see you next time on Bottle Kill TV. Okay, so as we always do on Bottle Kill TV, we've got a very short 2-minute review of the latest Laphroaig Cairdeas release, which is the Law Cask Strength. Michael's going to kick us off with this one.
Yeah, one word, humdinger.
Done. 1 minute, 10-second review.
Yeah, taste notes.
Taste and notes. Okay. It's a really intriguing one. So the interesting thing about this is it's got a variety of different casks and whiskey that ranges from 7 years to 21 years. I'd say the dominant kind of presence is the sherry. It's really rich. It's got a lot of kind of Christmas cakey notes, dried fruits, a little bit of spiciness to it. I described it as well. It's got like a nice kind of anise. These old school sweets that you used to get, like little cubes called cops, again, because it's got that Laphroaig medicinal quality, and it doesn't miss out on like the brininess, the coastal kind of flavors. It doesn't drink like a whiskey that's 59.6% either. Like, again, some of the casks in this are 21 years old, so it's got incredible balance, lots of complexity. I think it's just a really, really strong Laphroaig release, and they're just going from strength to strength. Like, they keep just putting out banger after banger as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
you're probably here because you already like Laphroaig, right? That's why you'd click a Laphroaig video. And so you're asking, is this Laphroaig release what we expected? And yes, it is. It is. They've knocked it out the park. If you're on the fence about getting it, my recommendation is it's a buy.
definitely. And I've had a lot of these like year over year. This in recent times is the best one, so I would definitely say go and grab a bottle. You won't be disappointed.